Breaking news coming up on NCC News at 4, snowmobiler Caleb Moore dies, raising new safety concerns about the X Games.
And severe thunderstorms, floods, and a tornado sweep across the U.S. from Michigan to Louisiana. How bad was the damage, and how are officials reacting?
Strong wind and snow have swept over central New York today, with low temperatures reaching into the teens. Stay tuned for your local 5-day forecast.
Do you think you could buy an entire week of groceries with just $34? I'm Heather Fountain, and I'm here to tell you how a local nonprofit agency took on the challenge. NCC News starts right now.
The governor is pushing for a minimum wage increase. Good afternoon. I'm Alexandra Montgomery.
And I'm Matt Raponi. New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo wants to increase pay by $1.50, a decision that would affect millions of workers. New York State could be seeing an increase in minimum wage. New York State could be seeing an increase in minimum wage in the near future if Governor Cuomo has his way. The hike would raise minimum wage from $7.25 to $8.75 and could create as many as 7,300 full-time jobs. Under the proposal, people working full-time jobs could make an additional $3,120 a year. The bills will be debated by the New York State Legislature in the next few weeks, and the budget is expected to be passed by March 31st. If the minimum wage does in fact increase, it may help the working poor who depend on food stamps, which Heather Fontaine found out is not an easy task.
The number of Americans on food stamps reached a record high in June 2012 last year, and a local nonprofit decided to see what living on food stamps is like. Members of Interfaith of Central New York are taking the challenge to buy an entire week of groceries for only $34. It's called the Hunger Project.
So far, after 4 days, I've managed to eat, quote, the right kind of food, but I'm getting hungry.
Helen Molina decided to participate in the Hunger Project as an act of advocacy for the millions of hungry people in the U.S. She says it is tough to stay healthy without being hungry on only $34 a week, and often people must sacrifice one for the other.
I was convinced this would be a piece of cake for me. I bought the right kind of food, the right kind of fresh fruits and vegetables, etc., and it's been very challenging.
Molina is currently 10 cents over the allotted budget, but says if the minimum wage rises, it could be very helpful for families.
Our minimum wage is extremely low and very difficult for families to get by on that. And ironically, if the minimum wage went up, there might be a few folks that would get a few less dollars and cents in food stamps.
Molina says the experience has been difficult, but remembers that, for her, it is a choice. She is aware that some working people don't have the option.
It's been a big education for me this week, and I'm treating every cup of coffee I make at home like a real special treat.
Molina stresses that the calculated $34 a week is only for food. It does not include shampoo, toilet paper, or feminine hygiene products. She says the experience has been eye-opening and encourages others to try it too. To find out more about the Hunger Project, visit nccnewsonline.com.
Strong winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour at times cause power outages and damaged traffic lights and closed schools today across central New York. Early this morning, National Grid reported that more than 3,000 customers were without power throughout Onondaga County. Power was restored shortly thereafter. Wind also damaged traffic lights around the area and forced some schools to close early and cancel afternoon activities.
Well, speaking of high winds, Heiza Dominguez is on the patio. Heiza, how bad is it out there?
It is cold out here, Matt. Winds are gusting earlier today. It was hard to walk. Current temperatures are in the 30s, but they feel more like in the 20s due to such a strong wind due to the wind bringing in the colder air from the surrounding lakes. Lake effect snowing is in effect in counties like Oneonta and Oswego. High winds are reaching 55 miles per hour, and there are some school closings. Full weather forecast ahead.
Readers of the Syracuse Post-Standard won't have a newspaper on their doorstep quite as often, the Post-Standard announced. That starting next week, the paper will only be delivered on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. The change comes after the paper announced a move to new offices as well as job cuts. Columnist Dick Case, who has worked at the Post-Standard since 1979, is one of the reporters losing his job. Syracuse University journalism professor Randy Wenner says losing Case will be a hardship for the community.
Because he's retiring, the paper is losing somebody who knows an awful lot about the history. The institutional knowledge we lose without him down there is tremendous.
Case's final column today expressed gratitude for his years at the newspaper. He is 77. Governor Andrew Cuomo's popularity among New Yorkers plummeted just days after he enacted stricter gun control laws. A poll released yesterday shows the Democrat dropped from his all-time high job approval rating of 74% to 59%. Here in central New York, some firearms stores think that lawmakers passed the bill too quickly without the public's approval.
I think, to see what the law was going to be and a chance to discuss it. And I think most of the lawmakers really don't even know what they signed into law. And, you know, if they had talked to the people that was voting for them, you know, they'd have learned that, you know, this is not what the majority of the people wanted.
Greek yogurt could soon be available in school lunchrooms, bringing more business for dairy farmers and local manufacturers. Federal officials are taking steps to modify the federal school lunch program to incorporate Greek yogurt as a high-protein meat alternative. If approved, the option could be available as early as this April.
Coming up after the break, Syria formally files a complaint to the United Nations over Israel's attack.
And tornadoes sweep across
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Don't worry.
You're gonna go. What do you mean?
Huh?
You're gonna go inside, yeah? What was Heather on? Let me see how it looks. I'll tell you if it looks there.
All right, so where would you like me to stand? Over here?
Happening now, a 6-year-old in Alabama will spend his third day today underground. Happening now, a 6-year-old in Alabama will spend his third day today underground. While riding a school bus home Tuesday, the kindergartner saw a man with a gun board his bus, shoot his bus driver, and then take him to an underground bunker. Police have updated the situation, saying they do not believe the boy has been harmed, although people say the suspect has been violent in the past. Neighbors say the suspect is 65-year-old Jimmy Lee Dykes, a Vietnam vet who shot at his neighbor over a land dispute and beat another neighbor's dog to death with a lead pipe. Neighbors also say Dykes has worked on the bunker where he is keeping the boy hostage every other night between 2 and 3 in the morning for a year and a half. Officials are not sure why Dykes took the little boy, and they are monitoring the situation very closely. This is a scene in Galatia, Illinois, where people are starting to clean up after a tornado hit Tuesday. Illinois is one of many states hit by what the National Weather Service is calling an EF2 tornado. That means the tornado brought winds of about 115 miles per hour. One family in Galatia lost their home, but they survived by hiding in a closet. Tornadoes have flipped cars, damaged homes, and ripped up trees in 6 states in the past 2 days, including heavy damage in Georgia. A massive cleanup has begun there as well. President Obama has not yet commented on the damage. A man from Indiana has agreed to plead guilty to charges that he tricked teenagers in several states into stripping or performing sexual acts for him via webcam. Prosecutors say Richard Finkbeiner met his victims in online chat rooms. Most of these victims were male between the ages of 12 and 16. Finkbeiner estimated he convinced at least 100 teenagers into making explicit videos for him. This is how it worked. Finkbeiner recorded his victims performing sexual acts and then threatened to upload the images online unless they sent him even more explicit videos for his own private use. Officials are not sure if Finkbeiner shared the recordings with anyone else.
Syria and Iran are threatening to retaliate against Israel for an airstrike carried out within Syrian borders. Israel launched the airstrike targeting a convoy believed to be carrying anti-aircraft missiles bound for Hezbollah militants in Lebanon. The airstrike follows decades of tension between Israel and allies Syria and Hezbollah. Both Syria and Iran have hinted there could be retaliation in the near future. One of the owners of the Brazilian nightclub that burned down this week has tried to take his own life while in custody. Alessandro Spor is one of 4 arrested in the aftermath of Sunday's deadly blaze that killed 235 people at the Kiss nightclub. The suicide attempt happened while he was being guarded by police at a hospital where he is being treated for smoke inhalation. Officials are calling it one of the largest operations against human traffickers. Police in Europe arrested more than 100 people across 10 countries, all accused of smuggling in people on boats, freight trains, and hidden compartments inside buses and trucks. The massive operation spanned a host of European nations and deployed more than 1,200 police officers.
Coming up after the break, weather reporter Heiza Dominguez will be back with updates on local and national weather. And BlackBerry unveils their latest touchscreen phone. All that and more after the break.
Find out what local gun owners are saying about Governor Cuomo's new gun law and how it has affected his approval rating.
not saying anything.
Yep, I'm going to talk with her during weather.
So we're starting at, so we all started at. Right, I'm saying my first camera shot is weather. Oh, okay.
BlackBerry has unveiled a new operating system called BlackBerry 10. In a launch event yesterday, BlackBerry also introduced two new smartphones, Q10 and an all-touchscreen phone named Z10. Competitors like Apple and Samsung have stolen sales from BlackBerry in recent years, so BlackBerry 10 is the company's attempt at a comeback. So far, reviews are mixed, but some promising new features include an app store. BlackBerry is releasing the Z10 phone in the UK today, but it won't be available in the US until March. Well, the weather has been a complete roller coaster all around the nation. How's it looking for Syracuse, Isa?
Upstate New York is experiencing hazardous weather conditions due to high wind alerts. Yesterday we had a high of 65 degrees, and today we have lows of up to 30s. If you check the temperature, it's about 32 degrees and the barometric pressure reading 29.41. Humidity is up to 44% and winds are at 30 miles per hour. The record highs for today are 63 in 1988 and a low of -10 in 1920. Highs in the normal are 32 with a low of 16. This isn't too far off from where we are today with a high of 32 and a low of 19. If you check the wind pressure, it's actually coming from the west side moving in, which is the reason we're having so much wind today. If we check at the wind map, regional peak is at its strongest with a wind range of up to 20 to 40 miles per hour in the region, and we have low snow effects in counties like Oneida and up in Oswego. New York isn't the only one experiencing these pressures, as we noted. It started earlier in the week down in the south. If we take a look at today's forecast, we had a high of 30 with a low of 19. If we take a look at the 5-day forecast, Thursday we have a high of 33 degrees with a low of 20. Friday in 21 with a low of 16, and Saturday 24 with a low of 18. We'll be in the 20s for the rest of the 5 days, and we'll be seeing a lot of snow.
So, you know, it's been kind of windy this past couple of days. Is it going to be really windy next week?
It shall. Actually, we'll be seeing a lot of snow, lots of wind, a decrease in temperature that we had from this previous week. So.
Okay. Thanks, Isa.
No problem.
I'm Rachel Marcus. Coming up after the break, I'll have a look ahead at Saturday's Syracuse-Pittsburgh game, plus lots of sports going on this weekend with the Syracuse Silver Knights on Friday and the Super Bowl on Sunday. All that ahead in 2 minutes. Breaking news, this just in, X Games contestant Caleb Moore has died today following his ugly crash last weekend. A backflip gone wrong in the X Games. Taking a look at this video, Moore's skis dug into the top of the slope and his machine. All 400 pounds of it fell on him. At first he was believed to have a concussion, followed by bleeding in his heart and complications thereafter. He was in critical condition before the announcement of his death. With 7 games left this season, the Syracuse Silver Knights have a chance to get back on track for the playoffs. It starts with 2 matches this weekend. Practices are heating up this week for the Syracuse Silver Knights. With the season winding down, a final playoff push is in order.
Although we're not in an ideal situation, we are in a place that we can still control our own destiny, so we're hoping to make a pretty good push this weekend.
Last year was the first season in Syracuse for the minor league soccer team, and they missed the playoffs by 1 game. In year 2, no one wants history repeating itself.
We had higher expectations this year. We wanted to go into the playoffs this year.
2 games loom ahead this weekend against Baltimore, 1 at home and 1 away. After those 2, just 5 games remain.
Still have maybe 8 games left, I want to say. Coming up 8 games, we expect to at least win 7 or, we want to win all 8, but, whatever's possible, we're going to try to do whatever we can to make the playoffs.
Making the playoffs would be quite the accomplishment for the developing team.
The organization's trying to find its grooves and its path in the community. So I think it's a great opportunity to bring soccer back to Syracuse.
The focus is clear. The 6-13 record must improve. It'll need to for the squad to advance farther this time. The ball is in their court. Now it needs to be in the goal. It won't be practice with no fans this weekend. The shots will need to fall. Coming off a 65-61 overtime loss to Villanova last weekend, SU takes to the road again, this time against Pittsburgh on Saturday. The loss to the Wildcats was just the 2nd loss on the season for the Orange, who now stand at 18-2 overall and 6-1 in the Big East. The conference loss dropped the Orange from number 3 to number 6 in the AP rankings. Saturday's game starts at noon, and the Orange return home on Monday when they face off against Notre Dame in the Carrier Dome at 7 p.m. Super Bowl this Sunday in New Orleans. Both teams took to the practice field on Wednesday in preparation for the big game. Neither team has played in nearly 2 weeks, but both should be feeling confident following their respective wins over the Patriots and Falcons in the conference title games. Game time is set for 6:30 p.m. at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
Thanks, Rachel.
After the break, find out how much some people are willing to pay for Super Bowl drinks. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Anyone heading to the Super Bowl in New Orleans can expect to pay big bucks for a hotel room, and the drinks are pretty pricey too.
That's right. At the Windsor Court Hotel, they're offering a drink package for a whopping $10,000.
But if you don't want to spend that much, no worries. You can always try the Sazerac cocktail. It will only set you back $2,000.
$2,000. Well, that's a bargain.
Well, speaking of the big game, 49ers and Ravens on Sunday, who do you think's going to win?
You know, honestly, I don't have a team. I'm not so sure. I know who's going to win this one. Who are you rooting for? Maybe I'll root for them too.
I got to give it to the Ravens. I know it's the battle of the brothers, but I think their defense is going to do it for them. We'll have to wait and find out.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Alexandra Montgomery.
And I'm Matt McCollum. Have a great night, Syracuse.